it seems like it's almost the traditional battle, and that is between more moderate Republicans, Rockefeller Republicans, if you will, versus the more conservative wing of the party. What I would like to see is the Republicans not pick the guy next in line, whoever that might be this time. But I'd like to see somebody young and dynamic and conservative and articulate. You know, any of the names that I mentioned earlier, from Cruz to Rubio to Rand Paul and Mike Lee. I mean, that's a good start. Any of the governors you mentioned are a good start to me.
Yeah, look, I may see it just a little bit differently. First of all, I'm not certain how many Rockefeller Republicans there are left in our party, but I do think there's a very interesting debate going on. Rand Paul is a
libertarian.
Conservative. And look, we all have a heavy dose of libertarianism, particularly when we're young. When I was a teenager, I mean, I remember reading Milton Friedman and just being, blown away. But what's interesting is that we're likely to have a robust debate about foreign policy. Now, it was obscured a little bit by Rand Paul doing a really brilliant thing. When he got the lackluster answers from Eric Holder, he seized on it and held a filibuster, which dramatized the unity among Republicans to the idea that the President of the United States has constitutional authority to unleash a hellfire missile on a suspected U.S. citizen who's a suspected terrorist who's sitting in a coffee shop, not posing an imminent threat. That was the question that Ted Cruz asked Holder in the hearing that he couldn't answer. But Rand Paul also has the view that Anwar al-Awlaki, the U.S.-born Muslim cleric who was the head of al-Qaeda in Yemen, that the United States government should not have taken him out with a hellfire missile because he was a citizen. We should have attempted to arrest him, given him counsel, and tried him in a U.S. court. I don't agree with that, but it is an interesting dialogue, an interesting debate we're going to have about America's role in the world.
No, I think it's an important debate as well, and I think there's going to be some disagreements. I did like also that Rand Paul said, anybody that is burning the American flag, they're not going to get any funding, and I've been calling that we stop giving the Muslim Brotherhood any more money, no F-16 fighter jets. I don't think they ought to be getting any American tanks. And I do believe that America has a role in shaping the world, as you know. I mean, I supported President Bush in the war on terror, and I think he handled it brilliantly. And I think that's what he'll be noted for after 9/11.
Yep.
But it's a different world with Mohammed Morsi, a 9/11 truther, a former terrorist, and a guy that says the Israelis are descendants of apes and pigs.
Yeah.
I have a hard time giving him anything.
Yeah, well, the key question is the Egyptian military what it has traditionally been, Western, secular, and looking towards us, or is it fallen under the thrall of the Muslim Brotherhood? If it is the former, then they are an important counterweight to the regime, and we need to keep our ties with them. If it's the latter, then of course we shouldn't.
Oh, don't we know that most of the top military guys were replaced by Morsi puppets?
Well, let's remember, where the military is big and deep and broad and has a sense of history and a sense of self and place. And, I don't have access to the intelligence that the president has, but it strikes me that it's hard to wipe out decades upon decades of influence, instinct, and leadership in the shorter period of time that he's had. But that's why we elect presidents, to make these tough decisions. If things were as they were when I was there, I'd be wanting to keep the Egyptian military strong and close to us, because they were one of the institutions that was most interested in reconciliation with Israel, a peaceable relationship, and they were one of the most active actors in the war on terror in that region.
Well, the thing that bothered me, and I viewed it as a geopolitical earthquake, was when Ahmadinejad, as the representative of Iran, went over to Cairo and met with Morsi, and apparently they're going to be offering aid and other monies and supplies. I don't think the world paid enough attention to that moment. That's a pretty big moment.
Yeah, it is. Let's see how much they're capable of delivering.